As you know, I've been sounding the alarm about the uniparty for some months now. I've done so in recognition that despite divided government, the GOP gets nothing while the Democrats get a rubber stamp. Recent events have only bolstered the truth of my observations. Americans alone, the parties abandon our people. That's my report in today's preamble. Let me say, there are conservatives and one or two Democrats who still believe in America, our mutual compact, the Constitution, and preserving our way of life. But they are nowhere near a majority in that Congress. In fact, conservatives are being boxed out of any decision-making, even representing their own voters in Congress. More on that in a minute. But let's go over some recent headlines that prove the GOP leadership, in collusion with the Marxists, have abandoned the freedom, prosperity, and security of the American people, and have done so with an un-American double standard. The GOP showed great passion and determination at reducing and thinning their majority even more when they voted not once, not twice, but 3 times to expel George Santos from the House, a guy accused of being a pretty bad dude. The GOP Congress has not voted once on measures attached to must-pass bills to defend you from socialist Democrats, much less voted on them 3 times. On the other hand, how do Republicans treat Democrats? Well, Adam Schiff knowingly and demonstrably lied to the country about President Trump, in particular in a phone conversation with Ukraine's president. For his dishonesty in an official proceeding of the U.S. Congress, Adam Schiff was censured. No real-world penalty for his weaponization of the trust placed in him as head of the Intelligence Committee. Intelligence he dishonestly used against fellow Americans. The GOP had the chance to dissuade future Democrats from ever doing something like that again. Those who love our country know that politics cannot be allowed into such arenas as intelligence and defense. But the GOP opted not to penalize Schiff in the pocketbook for his abuse of our people. But the GOP wasn't done. Squad member and accused anti-Semite Jamal Bowman was also censured by the GOP. Bowman, one of the more militant anti-American extremists in the Democrat Party, admitted his guilt in the crime of pulling down a fire alarm when there was no fire. It was an act that disrupted an official proceeding of Congress. Remember, the GOP voted 3 times to expel an accused fellow Republican out of the House, yet the GOP could only manage to censure an admitted criminal Democrat. Now, to all of you GOP voters out there, how does it make you feel knowing that the party you elected to the majority in the U.S. House is more interested in attacking their own than stopping Democrats and protecting you? In fact, the GOP can't even apply equal standards. The GOP leadership thinks Democrats are special, just like the Democrats think. Indeed, this rudderless, no values, no unifying principles GOP has only one achievement in 2023, successfully attacking their own. Every other action has been to bless, validate, and rubber stamp anything and everything the Democrats want to do to us. The latest example, the National Defense Authorization Act. If what's being reported about this bill is true, Americans would be well within their rights to ask, which nation is covered by the National Defense Authorization Act? Because it appears it benefits other countries while it harms the United States. We've come to find out that the people's representatives have been completely boxed out of the process in renewing the NDAA.
I had been assigned to be a conferee on the conference. Here, we're going to follow me. We're getting in an elevator. And we didn't get to participate at all. As a matter of fact, the whole NDAA deal was made between Speaker Johnson, Chuck Schumer, and the House Committee. And people like me, we didn't get to participate. And we were appointed to participate to make sure no money for abortion, no money for trans, for members like me standing up for Americans who are sick and tired of funding the Ukraine war.
So despite the GOP controlling the purse strings in the House, the GOP got nothing. Zero. Nada. That's the modern-day Republican Party leadership's idea of compromise. The Democrats get everything they want, and the GOP voters get nothing.
Well, let me tell you what the final product is in the deal that was made. So The policy is in place. The funding is there for abortion travel. The policy is still in place for trans and the military and everything that goes with it. Democrat trans policy, Democrat abortion policy. $300 million for Ukraine is back in the NDA, even though I had worked hard to take it out, it's back in. And furthermore, here's the worst news. It gets a clean FISA extension through April.
Clean, which means dirty. About the renewal of the FISA statute, a statute that is abused routinely by the FBI to attack Americans and the Democrats' political opponents. If the GOP had insisted on reforms, they could have protected us from the Democrats' FBI and their targeting of conservatives, Catholics, and those who support President Trump. But they didn't.
The FBI is already required to obtain a court order in some circumstances before accessing the contents of Americans' communications in the context of 702. They're already required for that in some circumstances. Since 2018, how many times has that requirement been triggered, according to government reporting? Do you know?
You talking about the so-called F2?
Yes.
Yeah. How many times has it been triggered?
Yes.
I think there have been 2 instances where I think is maybe the number.
103 times it's been triggered. And out of those 103 identified times, the FBI should have obtained a court order. How many times did the FBI actually obtain one? Do you know?
That, I think the answer is none.
0.
The FBI is breaking the law, a part of the law designed to protect us from powerful, abusive, and crooked government. And the GOP's response is to give that government more of your money. Oh, and to block out the people's representatives so they can't interfere with the GOP's leadership, giving the Democrats everything they want to fund their cancerous anti-American agenda. Let me be plain. I don't think that in a divided government, everything should go the GOP's way. With a divided government, there has to be some sort of compromise. But that's not what we're getting. Instead, with the Republican Party in control of the House, we're getting no compromise. The GOP is saying, let's do it all the Democrats' way. And as America wakes up to that sad reality, we're realizing that we, the people, are completely alone. That our government is colluding against us, not defending us. And conservatives are wondering out loud, if we elect GOP majorities and the Democrats continue to run the show, what's the point of voting Republican? To the GOP leadership, I say this: I'm judging you by your actions, not your rhetoric. In all of 2023, you have done nothing to even slow down the Democrats. You've dangled impeachments, you've talked tough, you've out and out lied to us. And at the end of the day, all you've done is advance Democrat policies. If it wasn't for all the harm done to my fellow Americans, I might be tempted to thank you, Republicans. Thank you for proving beyond a shadow of a doubt the two-party system is a farce. It's a failure. Maybe now, my fellow Americans will realize the real divide in this country is between our people and the betrayers in our government.